Vladimir Putin is the current president of Russia, but he didn't start at the top. Putin's career spans many years, and his career working for the Russian government started all the way back in 1975. In that year, he joined the infamous KGB, Russia's primary security agency for the Soviet Union. The KGB had similar responsibilities to that of America's CIA, but the KGB had the added responsibility of combating the dissent of citizens and groups that wanted to end communism. Putin's KGB career lasted from 1975 to 1991, and in those years he had many different responsibilities. He was first stationed in the Second Chief Doctorate, where he worked in the field of counterintelligence. He was soon promoted to the higher-up First Chief Doctorate, where his responsibilities probably consisted of acquiring foreign intelligence and training covert operatives. He continued to be stationed here until 1984, when he was sent to the Yuri Andropov Red Banner Institute. This institution was Russia's primary espionage academy, so Vladimir Putin was attending to eventually become a secret agent. He operated in Dresden in East Germany as a covert operative from 1985 to 1990, when the Soviet Union began to crumble. In 1990, Putin began to establish himself in politics. He quickly moved up the political ranks in Russia, and in 1999, he became the acting Prime Minister of the Russian Federation. This position is similar to the role of the Vice President in the United States, and as such, he became next in line to become president in the event of the resignation or removal from office of Russia's first president, Boris Yeltsin. And Boris Yeltsin did resign in 1999, which made Putin the second president of the Russian Federation. Controversy was soon to follow, as Vladimir Putin almost immediately made a presidential decree, which is similar to the US president's executive order. This presidential decree essentially absolved former President Yeltsin from any wrongdoing in the ongoing corruption investigation against him. Vlad then served as president for 2 consecutive terms, from 1999 to 2008. The president of the Russian Federation won his 2004 election by a wide margin. The United Russia Party won the popular vote with 71%, which showed that the Russian people supported the policies enacted by that regime. According to the Russian constitution, though, a person can only serve as president in 2 consecutive terms at a time. In 2008, Vladimir Putin's first deputy prime minister, Dmitry Medvedev, was elected president, and Vladimir accepted his former role as prime minister. The common opinion in Russia was that even though Medvedev was the sitting president, control of the country was still in the hands of Vladimir Putin. This sparked controversy yet again, and the protests that ensued were the largest protests ever held while Putin was in political office. The duo didn't seem to mind the protest, however, and Dmitry Medvedev recommended to the United Russia Party that Putin be the nominee in the 2012 election. Putin was nominated, and eventually won the election with 63% of the vote. Controversy continued, however, because there were many allegations of vote rigging. None of these allegations have been proven as of now, and Putin continues to serve as the president of the Russian Federation as of 2020. The net worth of Vladimir Putin has been debated over the years. There are some people, like former CEO of Hermitage Capital Management Bill Browder, who estimate the Russian president as the richest man in the whole world. Browder said, "I estimate that Putin has accumulated $200 billion of ill-gotten gains. That $200 billion would place Vladimir Putin in a comfortable lead over Amazon's CEO Jeff Bezos, who's only worth $144 billion. One source that was in Putin's government, Stanislav Belkovsky, claimed that Vladimir Putin was worth at the very least $40 billion. Stanislav says that the actual number is probably higher in reality, because the Russian president is known for being very private and keeps his business investments to himself. Official Russian sources say otherwise. The Russian Federation says that Vladimir Putin isn't worth near the amount it has been alleged, and instead states that the Russian president is worth pennies in comparison to what has been stated by Belkovsky and Browder. According to the Central Commission of the Russian Federation, Putin only earned $673,000 from 2011 to 2016, and according to Vlad himself, his fortune has been made in completely legitimate ways. Putin says that all of his wealth comes from his military pension and official salary as Russian president, as well as savings accounts and shares. This is obviously suspect, but you'll probably never hear the truth out of Vladimir himself. If we're sticking to the official story, however, then Vladimir Putin only owns a small apartment in Moscow. But that's not the truth whatsoever. In reality, Putin owns around 20 palaces and villas in and around Russia, and 9 of them were purchased during his presidency. There are far too many palaces to name all in one list, but we'll do our best to stick to the most notable of the 20 homes. One of the president's monumental properties is the illustrious Meyendorff Castle. This castle was moved into the ownership of the offices of the President of the Russian Federation in 2002, and in 2003, many renovations were made to the castle to make it one of the most luxurious buildings in the country. A massive $104 million in renovations were done to the building on the 1,300 square meter property, which makes out to about $80,000 per square meter. While Vladimir Putin's official residence is in the Moscow Kremlin, the President of Russia spends most of his time at Novo-Ogaryovo. This estate went primarily unoccupied since its construction in 1955, all the way until Vladimir Putin stepped in as President of Russia in 1999. He then ordered that it be renovated to fit his wants and needs, and it is now Putin's primary residence. This estate is surrounded by a massive 6-meter wall, because Vladimir Putin needs his privacy, apparently. But Putin's controversial and corrupt house tour isn't over yet, oh no. Perhaps his most illustrious property is the palace on the Oedicopus Cape, also known as Putin's Palace. This infamous property is most well known as being built from money intended to improve Russia's healthcare infrastructure. Those healthcare improvements never happened, however, and the money was used to build this luxurious palace meant for Putin's personal use instead. The exterior of the immense palace is surrounded by gardens, and the interior resembles that of an opulent castle, complete with artwork and chandeliers. This massive piece of architecture was rumored to cost over $1 billion, but unfortunately, we will probably never know the full cost of the property. The Russian Federal Protective Service keeps the palace highly guarded, and a full look at the interior of the building will most likely never occur while Putin is in power. Vladimir Putin is no stranger to other types of luxurious possessions either. The prolific president of Russia is also the proud owner of 58 different aircrafts, and 5 of them are completely decked out. The cabins of each of these 5 planes cost $11 million, and the toilets in each of them is worth close to $100,000 alone. These planes can seat 186 passengers, so if you're on Putin's good side, then you may be able to hitch a ride. Putin has his share of private jets as well, for when he wants to fly solo or with a small crew. One of these is a Dassault Falcon, which costs around $53 million. The total estimated worth of Vladimir Putin's immense number of aircrafts clocks in at somewhere above $1 billion, which certainly puts his net worth into perspective. Vladimir Putin also enjoys spending his money on luxury yachts. The president of the Russian Federation is said to own 4 yachts, each with a spectacularly enormous price tag. One of his yachts, dubbed Rossiya, has over $1.2 billion of upgrades and renovations invested into it. He owns another yacht named the Graceful, and it can sleep up to 14 people. Another one of Putin's yachts is the 57-meter luxury yacht called Olympia. This yacht is worth a staggering $35 million. This yacht was a gift from Chelsea FC owner Roman Abramovich. This yacht and the other yachts in Putin's alleged fleet are all operated with state money, which is just another way that Vladimir saves his own money. Vladimir Putin is also reportedly obsessed with his appearance, and owns a watch collection that boasts 11 pieces. One of these watches, the A. Langenson Turbograph Perpetuel pour le Mérite, is a standout in this collection, costing around $500,000. The obsession with his appearance doesn't end there, however. The Russian president is also a big fan of tailored suits, and doesn't mind shelling out a pretty penny for his duds. According to Russia Beyond the Headlines, the Russian state's newspaper, Putin owns several suits, with the cheapest suit in his wardrobe costing around $5,500. Vladimir Putin spends tons and tons of money, but the question still remains, where does he get it all? Sadly, the answer is probably by stealing from the Russian people. The Russian president may be one of the richest men in the world, but he didn't achieve this wealth morally. So, if you were the president of a country as big as Russia, what would you use all your money for? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We would really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.